Hey, welcome into the podcast, PartsCounterGuru.com. I'm not sure who that is over there. What do we have over there?
Hi, Jay.
Is that you, Keith?
It's me.
What are you? You're.
It might not be me.
Oh, okay. You're stormtrooping over there, bro.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Gonna have to get. Gonna have to bring the full force of the Emperor down on some people.
Oh man, what?
Got my.
What's going on?
Star Wars.
Yeah.
I think it's even loaded. Look at that. I'm ready to go, man.
Oh, it is, man. Look at that. Awesome. So yeah, talk to me.
We got a new Avengers movie out.
Oh, it's funny you bring that up. Okay.
I can't open my news feed without some journalist trying to spoil, in the headlines, some event in the movie. So,
Ooh.
This is what I've decided. I'm going to issue a warning right here on this podcast. All you media types, if you've got 48 hours from the time this podcast airs to take down your Avengers spoiler. Look, some of us have children with baseball schedules and car shows to go to, and we didn't get to go see this on opening weekend. I understand you're just trying to get ratings by leaking information in the headlines. This is dangerous territory. I'm coming for you.
It's not cool.
Coming for you.
Not cool.
I mean it. I mean it, man. Don't get back on those headlines. Jay, I can't even open my news feed and read news articles without some guy writing an Avengers headline with what happens in the movie, and literally I'm just trying to read like news headlines, and there they are.
Right. Well, I actually have I have a little bit of a piece of information from the movie, but it's actually not about the movie. It has something to do with what's in the movie. So would that qualify as a spoiler or no?
I don't want to know anything about what happens in the movie.
It's got nothing to do with what happens.
Well, then you're probably fine. But let me just say, just to reiterate.
Okay.
You people that think it's funny or you're cool or you're hilarious by leaking these movie details. I could do things to your car and nobody would ever know.
No.
Nobody would ever know, man. I'm just saying. And look, even if they did find out, it'd be too late for you. So you might want to keep that in mind before you get on your your crappy little news website and you start blogging news headlines with Avengers info, movie info in the title. I'm just saying. Can
I at least bring my little piece of information to the table, which is it's just a product that's in the movie.
Okay.
Which I thought was pretty cool. So we'll save it. We'll save it.
Now go ahead. Now
Well, let's tell everybody what we're doing today. We're talking events, man. We're talking news. We may or may not get into anything other than that. Just want to have a chat this morning. Just talk about current affairs and stuff that's going on, which I was heartbreaking to know that, after 50 years, we can't pull off another Woodstock. Really? What gives, man? What is up with that? Did you read the headline on that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Well, it's really too bad, man.
Well, actually, wait, hang on. Do you have news?
Yeah, I do. Live from PartsCounterGuru.com. Wow, I'm getting away from myself. Sorry about that. Yeah, just.
Yeah. Well, I see. So I had my my laser gun ready.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right, but I wasn't quite ready for the news. All right, so news.
Well, what I want.
Woodstock.
Would you do?
Are they actually going to call it?
You got to do me a favor. You got to do me a favor, man. Indulge me. Just. Do you have like the communicator, the Star Trek communicator noise, man?
I don't. I know the one you mean. He flips it open and goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
In a future podcast, we need that as well as the beam me up Scotty noise, man. The
Okay.
we need that.
Yeah.
We have to have
Okay.
that. Okay.
All right.
But no, yeah. So it was just announced, man. Actually today.
Are they going to call it Woodstock?
They were. I found. I was reading the.
Were they going to
article.
have it in upstate New York?
They were, but not at the original. It's actually going to be in Watkins. It was supposed to be in Watkins Glen, New York. It's about 150 miles away from the original location. They had a really nice lineup. I think they had, let's see, Santana, David Crosby, John Fogerty, Jay-Z.
Oh, these were all guys at the original Woodstock.
Yeah, yeah.
Just joking.
Chance
Just
the
kidding.
Rapper, Miley Cyrus.
Oh, I'm definitely in now if Hannah Montana's there.
But yeah, but what was interesting? I mean, you had the one of the co-founders was obviously, you know, the original co-founders was part of it, and that was Michael Lang. But what's funny, man, is that so they pulled out. Let me give you what here's why. It said that it was as a result and careful consideration.
Can I guess before you say?
What?
They're
ahead.
going to cite security risks.
Well, it's you can read through the lines here for sure, because what
Okay.
it basically says, as a result of after careful consideration, Dentsu Aegis Networks Amplify Live, a partner of Woodstock,
Yep.
of Woodstock 50, has decided to cancel the festival, and they are saying, as difficult as it is, we believe this is the most prudent decision for all parties involved. So my guess is yes. They were having issues with logistics and probably some security issues. But what I found interesting was, here's the last part of this news is that none of this news has affected a competing anniversary festival being held the same weekend by the Bethel Woods Center for the Arts, and it's taking place on the site of the original Woodstock event. So what gives? That's what I'm wondering. But what's funny is that they had the similar issues, I think, with the original Woodstock, and they just kind of opened the gates because they couldn't, logistically they couldn't handle all of the onslaught of people coming in, so they just
The crowds.
yeah. Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love that noise, man.
I was ready for that one. I didn't even know you were going there either.
Yeah, yeah. So wow. So, but anyway, that particular event, it's going to have Ringo Starr, the Doobie Brothers. There you go, man. That's a woo.
Yeah. Ringo Starr.
Yellow
I mean,
Submarine, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Whatever. I'm not. I like the Beatles. Put it that way.
Oh yeah, I got nothing against the Beatles. I'm just
Yeah.
Let's just leave it at that.
Peace, man.
So Ford has announced. Okay. So, you know what I'm a fan of is
Star Wars.
Well, that was actually requisitioned
Okay.
from another member of my household.
All right. Will the real
I'm a-
Star Wars fan please stand up?
Well, I'm definitely a sci-fi
Okay, so you
fan.
had to get that out of you. Yes.
I just don't, this
Oh, I've seen you on
This,
Halloween, pal.
this trooper helmet may or may not
Yeah.
be mine.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
You see that guy walking around, look out, watch your car.
Yeah, right. No, it's too late.
Especially if you've been to an Avengers movie lately.
Yeah. A couple weeks ago, a couple podcasts back, we talked about Toyota making that robot that could shoot 3-pointers.
Yeah.
So, and then we speculated, well, I wonder how this is going to turn up in the automotive industry. I am a big fan of innovation in creative ways that sort of pushes the envelope. I mean, that's kind of a recurring theme on this podcast.
Right.
So Ford has apparently, and this is for the benefit of all humanity. I see this as a really, really good thing out of Ford.
Right.
The headline says, Ford's self-braking shopping cart will stop your little ones ramming strangers' shins.
Yeah, I saw that article on that. That's interesting, yes. But it's great technology.
So apparently Ford has made a shopping cart that has automatic brakes.
Mm-hmm.
So as I'm sure I'm not the only parent whose children insist on pushing the cart.
Right.
And the rule typically is if you hit somebody, especially me, you've lost your driving privileges, right?
Right.
So let's see here. So let's see. This is from Tech Radar.
So has the young guru, has he cracked your knees a couple times? Before?
I've been shin rammed, and
man,
it's the Achilles that's
gets you right on. Oh, I hate that, man.
That's painful.
Oof.
Yeah. So let's see here. The cart is the latest in a series of concept designs that pluck Ford's driving aids from its cars and put them to use elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds pretty great to me. Past projects have included the lane keeping bed. I don't know, man.
I saw. That's funny that you brought that up because I saw. It was a late night infomercial on this thing that lane keeping bed.
Yep.
Whatever. Just nudge, man. Just move over. You don't need a lane keeping bed, but whatever. That's cool. Technology's nice.
And then the noise canceling kennel, which blocks out loud noises like fireworks that could alarm your pet.
Which is awesome. Okay. That's really cool, though.
Yeah.
I love that.
So in this case, the design is inspired by Ford's pre-collision assist technology, which is available in most models and uses a forward-facing camera and radar to detect vehicles, pedestrians, and cyclists in the road. Mm-hmm. When a person is detected, the system warns the driver and applies the brakes automatically if they didn't respond in time. All right, so that's been frequently added to a lot of brands of automobiles. Mm-hmm. This is a good use of monetizing your R&D in other markets. Sure. And I'm if for no other reason, like here, let me give you a great reason that you may or may not have considered here. Not all parking lots are level. In fact, most of them are not.
Oh,
take your car full of groceries or whatever out to the parking lot.
Yeah.
You park that sucker. If it's got auto braking on it, you don't have to worry about it rolling down the hill while you're trying to carry your bag of dog food or whatever into the back of your SUV.
Right.
Thing's going to stay where you left it. Right.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. Toyota's going to take that robot and they're going to partner up with Ford on that shopping cart, and you'll no longer have to worry about pushing your own groceries around. There you go.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah.
But you're the one that really needs that the most is, you're talking about grocery store parking lots with hills. Wouldn't it be your luck? You're parked, half a mile from the store entrance in their huge parking lot, and all of a sudden this cart gets away and it doesn't have this braking system on it, and it's just careening right towards that beautiful vehicle.
In slow motion, because when those things happen in my life, I always see them happening in slow motion, right? No.
Ooh, I can see a video coming. You heard it right here. Keith's going to put it together. It's going to be an actual slow-mo of a shopping cart coming very near. And his reactions.
I have frequently pondered doing a hidden camera, like just taking maybe a dash cam or a camera and setting it on the dash of your vehicle and staying in the car but staying out of sight. If it's an SUV, maybe get in the back seat or whatever, and just literally like almost a contest.
Right.
How many minutes will it take before someone leaves a cart sitting somewhere in the lot other than the cart return stalls? Meaning, because here's what happens. These lazy people, like, they unload their groceries and then they just move their cart like 2 or 3 spots over and then they drive off, right? And then 10 minutes later, some wind comes along and starts the cart moving or a vibration or whatever, and the next thing you know, that cart's rolling down the hill into somebody's car. And the guy that did it is nowhere to be seen at that point. So I almost want to do like a little hidden camera. Like we could do sort of an expose, like who are the people that leave these shopping
what type
carts?
of people?
Like what do they look like?
Right.
You know, what are they?
Yeah, what type of people?
I want to know.
What are their
Yeah.
what are their hobbies and you know how do they get through life? You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I would love to have that information.
Absolutely.
We can provide that on a podcast in the future. Yes. So yeah, so that's interesting. That's great technology, man. When I read that story, I thought the same thing. What a great use of technology. You know, pay it back. You know, help your pad your bank account a little bit, bring a little bit of revenue back in on the expense. You know, and
why not,
it makes
man?
sense. It makes complete sense. So I got another one real quick on you. I mean, you probably
by all means,
you probably heard this one. I find it really kind of interesting and a little laughable, but whatever. Did you hear that Mark Zuckerberg created a sleep box for his wife?
I briefly read the headline. But I did not dig into it. But now I am so curious. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I got to know more.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So apparently, with their busy life that they have and the kids and everything, they have issues with that sleep. You know, that early morning. You know, when you're trying to sleep, but you kind of want to be a little awake because of certain things that can go on. You know, you want to be a little coherent. So he's developed this sleep box that, you know, has a little bit of light, just light enough that it doesn't wake you up, that you can kind of open your eyes and go, okay, we're okay. And it's a timed event, apparently. But here's he goes, the light is visible enough that if she sees it, she'll know it's an okay time for one of us to get the kids. But faint enough that the light won't wake her up if she's still sleeping. And since it doesn't show the time, if she wakes up in the middle of the night, she knows just to go back to sleep without having to worry about what time it is. Okay. So, as an engineer, building a device to help my partner sleep better is one of the best ways I can think of to express my love and gratitude, Zuckerberg writes. But a bunch of my friends have told me they'd want something like this, so I'm putting this out there in case another entrepreneur wants to run with this and build sleep boxes for more people. Why, thank you, Mark Zuckerberg.
So, look, I know selling sensitive member information on the dark web is exhausting work.
Right.
But I gotta say, like, I think when I was like 10, maybe 12, my family solved this problem for about $11.99.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's called a projection alarm clock.
Found it very interesting. The thought that crossed my mind was a timed nightlight.
What? So what? And let me just make sure I understand. So anytime you engage in sort of a commissioned project or endeavor, that there are objectives,
Sure.
right? So the objectives are things like, in this case, it sounds like knowing whether it's time to get up or not without having to awaken yourself further to discover
Correct.
that.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if this thing has some sort of crack in it that lets light in, you're going to have to open your eyes
That's
to
right.
know.
Yep.
Right? If you're going to have to open your eyes to know, you get a projection alarm clock, and it's not that bright. It's on the
Right.
ceiling. Mine, I think, was Batman, you know?
Right.
And you... Oh,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
4 a.m. I'm going back
Or
to
do
sleep.
like the rest of us and just, be a normal human being who has, crap that they have to deal with and, get up and run and go take kids to school and
Like, if you're going to get all Tony Stark about it, that's great, but this is what you're wasting your,
Right.
your valuable time
Yeah,
on.
That's what I found very interesting.
Wow, man. We are officially out of problems.
And quit trying to get money out of me, man. You know, boosting posts. What's all that boosting stuff, man? What's going on with this?
Yeah, well, did he boost this post?
I got something for you to boost, buddy.
I mean, yeah, okay. Well, I'm probably, I guess it's no secret, I'm not a big fan of Zuckerberg.
Yeah, there's some questionable activity that has gone on with my information. There was another story released today about dark web information over there. Dude.
Yeah, it's just too many times I've caught them in the narratives that they've released are just quite literally impossible to be true. Yeah. If you sort of use any knowledge of kind of the platform. So let's shift gears here for just a minute. You know who Eric Buell is? I'll bet you do.
Yep.
Okay. So want to say mid 90s he did his first motorcycle project with Harley sometime in there.
It may have been a little before that, but yes.
Okay. And they were kind of sweet bikes. It was
they sounded great, man. I love.
Yeah, it was well, honestly, it was a little bit ahead of its time in the sense that the naked bikes or the Street Fighter bikes or the kind of exposed frame bikes that are kind of urban looking didn't catch on for probably another 5 to 10 years. Now, I've got a Ducati Monster, which is kind of probably the most famous example of that
It's a beautiful
style.
bike too, by the way.
And thanks. And so this Endeavor, which I think the first time around they were just called Buell, and they were sold by Harley. And they were a little bit more aggressive in terms of the performance side, meaning, you know, most Harleys are more for cruising, and these were more they were kind of the they were meant to be ridden a little bit more aggressively.
And I may be wrong on this, but I thought that they were working along the same lines as like the Sportster platform. With that in mind, because the Sportster was possibly Harley's, little racing bike,
But which came first, the chicken or the egg? Exactly. I mean, did they?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So then the Buell side of that franchise folded, and they stopped selling them. And this is where it got odd, is that Eric Buell said, "Well, I'm gonna start a race team in the motorcycle racing circuit, and that takes just millions and millions and millions of dollars, and I'm just gonna sell race bikes." And everybody's like, "Wow, how are you gonna recoup your expenses on that?" I mean, that's and so then he came out with I guess it was the EBR, which stood for Eric Buell Racing. And I mean, again, the bikes were decent bikes, but there's just not a real solid. I mean, so if you think about that Steve Jobs documentary that we've talked about on the past couple podcasts,
everybody needs to listen to that. Check it out.
Where do you go from here? What's the plan? Right? Like, what is your end game of just to use an Avengers term? Right? Like. I mean, which ironically, I've gone back and watched all those movies with my son, and they keep throwing that in like in random places throughout many of the previous movies. But like, it just didn't seem like he had a solid plan of sort of where this was going to go. So now this is interesting. So this headline is from The Drive, and it says, "Legendary biker Eric Buell returns with all-electric fuel, F-U-E-L-L." So it's like his last name, except with the F instead of a B. Motorcycle and bicycle. Now this seems to me to be a little bit more well thought out in terms of the consumer side of things, because this is a pretty marketable
I saw
product.
Images of that bike, and it's by far, to me, one of the coolest looking EVs out there, from a bike standpoint. Very well done.
Yep.
Looks great. I love it. It looks like it's ready to race, man. And I bet it is.
The new cheekily named company was founded by Buell as well as it's naming the other people. Sorry. So it looks like there's a Formula One guy involved. They embarked to create a new, more stylish path towards urban mobility. Okay, see, and I think that's okay. So we're thinking this through, right? Like, there's a lot of people in cities. They're not going to want to buy a Harley. They're not going to want, because honestly, it's too heavy. It's where do you park it? This makes sense. Outright bans on cars in some cases in urban city centers. They partnered with Buell to provide quick urban transportation with both an electric bicycle and electric motorcycle. The company's first product, called the Fluid, is an electric bicycle using a 980 kilowatt battery pack. And though the Fluid's appearance is what we've come to expect from high-end electric bicycles, its range and power are definitely more in tune with Eric Buell's former gig, with a staggering 125-mile range. The Fluid is by and large one of the most far-reaching electric bicycles and aims not only to deliver that last mile of service for public transit users, but could also be used as an efficient private way to forego transit altogether. Sure, as long as it's not raining.
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
So this is interesting. So the bike, it looks like it's going to be about $4,000. It's $3,395.
Now, are they going to sell these? Do they have? What are their retail outlets? Where are they selling these things?
This does not say.
So there's no affiliation with Harley Davidson whatsoever at this point.
Well,
from a marketing standpoint,
no one references Eric Buell without mentioning
Harley. And I know that
Davidson.
Harley has been, they're working on electric bike.
It's sort of like you can't mention Robert Downey without Iron Man, right? I mean, it's just he's done it for so long. So it's the same thing here. So it says here, as for the larger, more Harley Davidson Livewire-like Flow motorcycle, so the bike is called the Flow. Much of this technology from the Fluid is carried over. It still has a 125-mile range, but it either uses a 10 kilowatt or a 35 kilowatt battery pack, allowing it to connect to a fast charger that will return to full range in just 30 minutes.
I would buy one.
Awesome. Moreover, Fuel Flow has a similar range compared to Harley Davidson's Livewire electric motorcycle. The Flow only costs $10,995, which is just slightly more expensive than your average motorcycle. However, when put up against the Harley Davidson, it becomes nearly $20,000 less expensive.
It's Harley for you, man.
So, I would like to see the performance and handling, and $10,000 on a bike. I mean, you can buy a lot of bike for $10,000 if performance is your thing.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that if Buell's got his fingers on it, that from a performance standpoint, it should handle very nicely, in my opinion.
And like the first thing that I'm, being now that we've seen my Tesla review. Like my first thing is, all right, let's see what this sucker can do. What kind of torque it got? Look, let's get it out there and rip it.
Just made me think of something that we've talked about in previous podcasts, which is, you loving the torque of that Tesla Model 3 that you reviewed recently. Which, by the way, if you haven't gone to our YouTube channel, Parts Counter Gurus over on YouTube. Keith did a review on a Tesla Model 3, which is outstanding. So go check it out. I learned a lot more about that car than I could have if I was reading an article on it, man. I mean, it's very well done. Thank you for that.
Well, thanks. Yeah, so if you go to YouTube, if you just search for Parts Counter Gurus, 3 words, Parts Counter Gurus, it'll bring our channel up, and there's a Tesla video there. You can watch these podcasts there as well. To be honest with you, though, I don't care if you watch the video or not. Just subscribe.
There you go. But hey, what my point was is that I know you love the Teslas, and I think what we ought to do is rent one of each, and let's go racing, pal. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I'd like to just take it on the track and just take it on the track with some of the other, like I do track days. right? So let's go out there with some of the 1000cc race bikes and let's see how this.
Right.
Let's see if I can keep up.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
see how it does.
That's good. That'll be fun, man.
I mean, and this is kind of a like, okay, so they've raced electric bikes. This isn't the first electric motorcycle that's been on the market. There were, I want to say 5-6 years ago, MotoGP had a all electric class that they raced. You know, because when you go to a MotoGP event, they have 4 or 5 different races that day, and one of the classes was all electrics. And I actually got to photograph one of the riders, and she actually wiped out that day. She dropped the bike on the track, and it's surreal, man. There's just parts more so than a traditional gasoline engine motorcycle. Just parts, just plastic, just going everywhere, and they make no noise. In fact, when they would go past us on the track, the fans would literally make the motor. You'd see fans going, because there's no noise, man. It's hilarious. And so you sort of felt the need to kind of make the noise. I wonder though, in a race, you can hear them coming up behind you,
just kind of a
little bit. On bikes like this though, you because you don't have a lot of times they don't put there's no mirrors on those bikes. There's no side mirrors.
I didn't realize that. I didn't think.
There's no glass.
Gotcha.
They don't
so
like
that's
any
an
of that.
add-on
No.
if you want that.
Nope.
Okay. Wow.
Yep.
Oh, they're not even
can't,
mountable.
Like when I do track days, you can't. No, you can't. If you have mirrors on the bike, you got to tape them up.
So it's mandated. You cannot.
Most guys just take them off.
Gotcha. Wow. Rules.
Yep. Can't have any. You can't have any headlights. You can't have any mirrors because of the. Well, there's 2 reasons I think. Number one, the glare.
Well, that makes sense.
Like it's possible for the sun to hit that mirror while you're racing, and it could cause.
No, I see that.
And if at 3, you're doing triple digits on a racetrack, and you make the slightest kind of throw that gyroscope off,
screwed.
and you're
pretty much
you're in trouble. So no mirror. So I don't know.
Wow.
I mean, I guess
this will be interesting, man. I'm going to keep my eye on this because I've actually been looking for. I own an old Harley, and it's just a drip pan, man, is what it is. I mean, it's an old Ironhead. I've been kind of looking for something to have that I know that I can just get on and go without being, because I live in a community that's fairly quiet, and on a Sunday morning to go out for a ride to fire up a 1200cc Sportster or a 1000cc Ironhead, they get a little loud. So this might allow me to kind of sneak away and go have some fun and go real fast. I mean, I have a bicycle, but there's just something to be said for just going really fast, man. That wind, I love it.
Well, and it's not necessarily the top speed.
Quick,
it's how quickly you get to fast.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's that I gotta say that just never gets old.
You like riding roller coasters too, I'm sure, and for that reason, I mean, just that initial force of that, when the ride kicks off and you're going, and I love it too. I'm a junkie when it comes out. I would ride a rocket into space just for that those 5 to 10 minutes of acceleration, just for that. After that, I want to come home, Mom.
Right. Well, and on the apex, you'd probably feel a little bit of weightlessness.
Absolutely, you would. But I'm talking that punch, man. When you're going, that the G's, man, coming down on you has got to be just incredible. So that's very nice, man. I mean, good thing to bring up.
We'll see what happens. So I don't know where they're going to be sold. Back to your question there, I would almost guess that they're going to target maybe your bicycle shops or your maybe your REI stores or something like that for the bicycle side, and a different line of merchandise of retailers for the actual. And here's another question now that I'm sort of thinking this through, right? So if you start selling the motorcycle version at power sports dealers, well, that's a motorcycle, right? You go buy it, you title it, you put license on it. If you buy a motorized bicycle, if you buy an electric bicycle, is that going to have to be licensed?
That's a good question.
Ooh.
I mean, I saw something. Yeah,
Technically,
I saw
it's got a
something the
motor.
other day here, not far from where I live, and they were on the road and they were legal. They were plated, and it was just a quad.
Yeah.
and it had lights and signals on it and everything. Hey, man, I mean, it may come to that.
Well, now see, and this is where, I always get into the common sense portion. We've gotten too legalistic. Instead of looking at sort of the big picture or the spirit of the law, we tend to focus on, the minutia, which always gets you in trouble. So in the same way that you can't have a headlight or side mirrors on a racetrack bike, you can't take that bike and put it on, like I have one, and it's not street legal.
Yeah.
For those very reasons. It's by law, you've got to have a working headlight on a
tail light,
motorcycle in the
signals.
front. You got to have mirrors. You got to have turns. You don't have to have turn signals if you do the hand signals, but you have to have some form of signaling, right? So now, if you take that bicycle, even if you put license plates on it, to avoid, so that you're conforming with the law, if you don't have a headlight and mirrors, technically you might not be legal.
This is true.
Well, then it sort of defeats the purpose of calling it a bicycle, because now you're basically turning it into a scooter.
I'm
You
sure
start
that
putting all that
every
stuff on
state
it.
out there is scrambling to try to figure out how they can license these things, because as more and more people downsize their needs as far as transportation goes and lean more towards electric vehicles like this, electric bikes or bicycles, period,
Yeah.
local municipalities are going to be going,
Yeah.
we're losing a little revenue, but they're still using our roads here, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got to get on that.
We got to get on that. So,
That's awesome, man. That's a good one.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. These are interesting times to be alive and observing kind of the massive amount of. I mean, this is probably one of the biggest revolutions since personal computing.
Oh, it is.
This whole EV movement.
We're talking about it. In regards to Buell, stepping into the arena, and going there, and we've been talking about Ford and what they've been doing. They just recently partnered up with Rivian. It's a $500 million investment for them. But I saw it somewhere in automotive news. It says, and I didn't realize this, but it says history doesn't favor deals like the Rivian Ford venture, because people like Chrysler has done it in the past with other brands and stuff. But I think that I actually, when I started reading this,
well, okay, but Chrysler, I mean, that's like saying, right. They're like the Pee Wee Herman of the automotive industry. I mean, just because Chrysler didn't do it
and
well,
this was the 80s,
this is like
too, man.
saying, well,
So by the way, yeah. But you liken that to it. I mean, like for example, that one of the things was, we won't spend much time dwelling on ancient history. But a quick recap is in order: Chrysler's ownership of Lamborghini in the late 80s did nothing for the Italian supercar maker. Well, no, man. Right, man.
That's because it was Chrysler trying to run it like Chrysler.
In Maserati yielded the tragic 88 to 91 TC, which I remember very well. It was a vehicle that was so awful that it managed to sully the reputation of both automakers. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, I read this article and I'm like, in my opinion, this article couldn't be more wrong in their opinion on this being a bad venture for Ford. And here's why I say that: because as much time as we have spent talking about electric vehicles, and in that amount of time, it's actually a short amount of time that we've been talking about it, look at the amount of investment that has gone on through every company out there, automaker, trying to make an EV vehicle work for its customers. It's not going to go away. And I don't think that this is a bad venture for Ford at all, because they're going to gain some technology from it. They're going to move on because EVs are the future. It's where we're going. I don't know if we're going to talk about this today, but talk about fuel and ethanol. What recently came out. We had an article on it. I'll let
we
I'll
can
let
get
you
into
take
that
the
a
lead
little
on
bit.
when that comes. But it's for me. I think that they are wrong. I think that it is not going to be a bad deal for Ford, and I'd like to revisit this in 2 years and see where I was at with that. So, hey, let's see what happens, Ford. Keep it going, man. I'm excited for them. I actually, that when you look at that Rivian, the side view of it really looks like either a Land Rover or the Ford Explorer. Did you see that? It's a good-looking vehicle.
Yeah, I did. So, I mean, a couple things here. So this is kind of a marriage of technology and automotive. And when you start talking about these EVs or the trucks, the cars, doesn't matter. And whenever I hear a statement like, well, this has historically never gone well, going back to the merger with, pointing to Chrysler and Lamborghini, for example. And I will tell you that I hated history as a kid, as a teenager. That was like my least favorite topic in school.
Right.
I hated it. Even in college, hated it. The older that I get, the more of a fan and I guess really student of history, that's probably the appropriate term, I've become. And I think the reason, at least for me personally, is it's the most efficient path forward, believe it or not, because the old cliche,
Sure.
there's no need to reinvent the wheel, right? Well, there's some truth to that, meaning if someone else has already done all the R&D work to develop a round wheel, you're wasting, you are not taking an efficient path forward if you're just trying to create your own, unless you've got some better version, right? And so I sort of feel like, ignoring history is going to, those who ignore history are doomed to repeat it, or right? But then look at, okay, so let's do a little let's play a game here.
Games.
I like games. You like games?
I love games.
Here,
that
I got a trivia game for you.
Ooh. All right.
All right. So I'm going to name some car brands for you. Okay? And I want you to tell me what they all have in common. And actually, we're going to expand this beyond car brands. We're going to put motorcycles in there too. Okay? You ready?
Okay.
Audi.
Okay.
Porsche. Or Porsche if you're some sort of teenage snob.
Okay.
Bugatti. Ducati.
Okay.
Ducati, the motorcycle brand. Volkswagen.
Okay.
Let's stop there.
What
do those all have in common?
Some sort of European country origin, technology, German influence there, maybe.
Owned by the same company for $500,
really?
Alex?
One company.
Pretty sure. Yeah.
Somebody's making some money, dude.
I know this because my son, when he was 5 or 6, drew a design of I think it was like a minivan or a van. Had an idea, drew a design, and it was, a 6-year-old's artwork. I mean, it wasn't like, it was what you would expect from a 6-year-old. But just for fun and just to sort of be an encouraging, dad, I said, you should send that to Volkswagen, right? Just send it to them. So he mailed it to Germany, to their head. We looked up their headquarters. We sent it to their, I forget which department. I think it was their, design department. And the dude wrote him back and sent him some little it was almost it was a real rare prototype model.
That's great.
And thanked him and told him, we'll consider it, and was really polite. Yeah, and then mentioned all the brands in his letter.
Yeah, it's Volkswagen.
That Volkswagen
Group.
owned.
Audi. Yeah, Audi.
Okay.
Bentley.
You got it up there?
Bugatti.
Yeah.
My God, man. Wow.
Well, clearly that's hasn't ever worked well. Okay, here's another one for you. So just on a if you want to look on the tech side, we're talking about Rivian being, this is the marriage of automotive and tech, right? Apple, nobody knows who Apple is, right? I mean, they're not like the most valuable company. Amazon may have surpassed them, but at one point they were
that the Beatles were on their label. Yeah,
right.
Is that right?
The Beatles, okay. Yeah, well played. Yeah, right. So, just throughout their existence, Apple has historically bought, iTunes was not their creation. There was a company that developed a product, and it wasn't called iTunes. It had its own name. Apple bought it. The functionality and the design was iTunes. They bought it, rebranded it as iTunes, and released it a year later.
Provided you with the great devices
they bought that company
today.
Okay. Beats by Dr. Dre is now an Apple headphones line. On and on and on. They have bought more companies with, if they needed to push the envelope and get somewhere with tech, and they didn't have the R&D team to do it, they would just go buy the company that's already done it, right? Why reinvent the wheel when it's so much more efficient to just get there through the work that's already been done?
That's it.
Makes and then sense. Just improve upon it if you want to. So, especially in this era, when I look at what Ford's doing, I'm going, yeah, that's smart. That seems to me like it actually has worked well in the past, and this is a good play.
Agreed. Well, and speaking of Ford again, we seem to be on, like you were saying, Tesla, and, I personally don't own a Ford. I have owned Fords, but I just pay attention to what's going on out there. But Ford has eyes on demand car washes in vehicle on-demand car washes in vehicle Amazon delivery is what they're So it says Ford Motor Company plans to offer on-demand car washes and in-vehicle package delivery as it expands the utility of its Ford Pass smartphone app. It says that owners of the 2017 model or newer and 2018 or newer Lincolns with built-in modems can access the services. Ford is partnering with Amazon on package delivery and with startups Sparkle, Spiffy, and Rub-a-Dub for car washes. So, but if you want to learn about car washes, go back to our podcast on that. We talked about, be careful there. But there that on-site car washing is actually a good choice. So
I would actually do that over one of the automatics. Now, and then Amazon just this week came out and said, "Hey, we're moving toward 1-day delivery now. The 2-day delivery for Prime members is going to be obsolete soon."
This is, again, it's just Ford, man. It says it's been trying to expand this service, the Ford Pass service, since it launched it in 2016. So let's go. Yeah, let's go talk to Amazon.
Innovate or die, right? Yeah. Like if you're just going to keep selling Lincolns to your grandfather, there's a limited number of that.
Right.
That market's dying. So let's take a momentary pause here in the program, and I want to do two things. I want to talk about where to find us and all that, but then we got to get into this. The hat you're wearing here, because when I see that hat, I'm immediately I think of Wile E. Coyote.
That was
okay. But I'm guessing that's not
no
what the intention is. Like, do you have a giant sledgehammer hidden behind your back, or
some TNT sitting over there? Yes,
box of TNT somewhere.
My coyote costume is over in the corner. Yeah. No, this is Acme Feed and Seed out of Nashville, Tennessee, downtown Nashville. Great little
I know the place.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Lots of chickens running around everywhere. Oh no, wait, sorry. That's
I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's like one of the oldest buildings in downtown Nashville. It's on the National Historic Register, and they didn't do anything with it for the longest time because it had all of these chemicals that were fertilizers and stuff that were being stored in there. So it was going to cost a lot of money to get it done, and thankfully Mother Nature kind of helped them along with that. The floods from 2010 actually came in and flooded the building, and they came in and tested it, and turns out that with a little more intervention with trying to clean up the place, they were able to use it and utilize it. I'm glad, because it became a nice music venue and a great little restaurant for downtown, and I highly recommend it. So, Acme Feed and Seed, man, go downtown Nashville.
Before it was Acme, I had a Ford F-150 pickup. It was like burgundy. This was in the late 90s, and Nashville's not supposed to ever get like severe tornadoes.
Right.
Or
until the
they used to always say that. Times have changed, yeah. But there was a pretty substantial one that came through like very late 90s. Like I want to say like 98, 99.
Spring of 98, I remember it well.
And okay, and it knocked out communication in the city. Like phone lines were down for a long time, and I lived outside the city. There was a news clip of a Ford F-150 truck that had driven kind of halfway into that building, and there was, because it was a brick building, and there was just bricks all over the top of the truck.
Wow.
Just kind of crushed it a little bit, and it was the same color Ford F-150 as mine, and the news footage made it back to my mom saw it, who didn't she lived like 3 states away, and the phone lines are down, and she's just flipping out, like,
right,
because that looked just like my truck.
That's crazy,
and
man.
I couldn't get a hold of her for a couple days.
Well, good, lucky
Tell her I was
for you,
all right.
it wasn't you.
Yeah, it was weird.
And exactly.
I'm glad that wasn't my truck.
Speaking of Nashville, the weather there in the past 20 years has really been very eventful. I mean, you had the rare tornado come through downtown, right down Broadway. I remember that.
Right.
And then, of course, the heavy floods of 2010, which were unbelievable. The area that I was living in at the time, which was south and west of Nashville, we got over 18 inches of rain in less than 36 hours. Tremendous. Couldn't leave, couldn't go anywhere. We're surrounded by little rivers everywhere you go, little tributaries and stuff like that.
I remember that era well. In fact, I had a fishing boat at the time, and when that happened, we took the fishing boat and drove it up and down the streets. Like, it was 7-8 feet of water. It was deep enough that we were just getting around by boat, like, checking out the neighborhoods and stuff. So, it was kind of crazy. So if you come to Nashville, do make sure Acme Feed and Seeds is a cool place. It's a cool place to go eat. You're welcome to come check it out. As I like to tell people, come check it out. You're welcome to do that. When you leave, take somebody with you. So
we have time for maybe one more or two more.
Yeah, we got tons of time, but let's talk where to find us and all that.
Okay, all right. You can go to our website. It's partscounterguru.com, or as I like to say on the air, www.partscounterguru.com. And from there, you can navigate to a lot of things. There is a tab up there for links to our podcast, which will take you to Google Play. Hey,
Jay. I think we named that something clever, didn't we? So people could find it. What's it called?
Podcast Links.
Oh yeah, it's Podcast Links.
Oh, you're a funny guy. I see you have your like piece of TNT under your arm there. You look like you're about yeah.
Wow. Oh yeah.
Anyway, thanks for that. Yeah, podcast. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's there.
podcast-links. It's a tab.
We're on
the top.
Spotify. We're on
Yeah.
Google Play. We're on Apple iTunes. So you can subscribe there. But we really want you to go over to our YouTube channel, which we have several ways to get to YouTube. You have an icon up at the top of the page. You also can go to the podcast links tab up there as well. And when you get over to Parts Counter Gurus on YouTube,
if you're on YouTube right now, you can just type in
and
Parts
subscribe.
Counter
We
Gurus in
need the
search,
subscriptions,
and it'll
folks.
take you to us.
It's free. Doesn't cost you a dime. So you can check us out there. We also like to talk about things on our podcast, and we have a little spot there as well, a nice little tab for mentioned on the podcast. You can navigate there, and something that we may have mentioned, you can click the link, and it'll take you over to Amazon, and you can purchase it. But we've also have a handy little way for you to just, if you just happen to be on our page and you feel the urge to go buy something from Amazon, there's a link there. Click that and go on. We want you to do that. It helps support us.
It's the top right area of our website homepage. It's actually just an Amazon banner, and if you click on that, it'll take you to Amazon. You buy whatever you were going to buy. Doesn't cost you any more, but Amazon gives us a nice, they give us a little nod.
Little something. Yeah, and hey, it's one of the easiest websites that I've ever been able to navigate through. And if I can navigate through it, anybody can. So
just support. Those are easy ways to support us that doesn't cost you anything. And like I said at the beginning of this podcast, I know how to do things. Nobody would ever know. I'm just.
Yeah, there you go. So what else on that?
It's weird, man. He just drove right towards that, that cliff and just never made the turn. It's like the brakes just stopped. Like, I don't know. There's no skid marks or anything.
And by no means are we condoning
no.
you put on a stormtrooper mask and go out there and do that. But anyway, yeah. So that's where you can catch us. That's how you can support us. We need your support to keep doing this. So, all right.
Thanks, Jay.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. Thank you. I thought I did okay with that. So,
all right. So you got something. I got something. You want to rock paper scissors this, or what? What should we? What should we do here?
You ready?
Yeah. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. I got you. Okay.
You got it.
All right. So a couple weeks back, Actually, I think it was the podcast right before this. We talked about the internet, right?
Yep. We did. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that we spent some time on in that podcast was Wi-Fi and wireless in general, and how right now the speeds of wireless are always slower than a wired connection in terms of your internet connectivity. And if you're curious about that and you want to go into the reasons why and all that, go back and listen to that podcast. I think we actually titled it "The Internet."
We did, I think,
and we kind of delve into that. But this is here's the headline: Newly developed laser radio will open the doors to ultra fast Wi-Fi. This is they're going into basically using a light spectrum as opposed to RF frequency to establish faster connectivity wirelessly. Now, this is kind of how fiber works anyway. But here we go. So, published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, which is, I know I read that every morning when I wake up. By researchers at the Harvard John A. Paulson School of Engineering and Applied Scientists. Okay, so far this is playing out exactly like I expected. The team showcased a laser that can emit microwaves wirelessly, modulate them, and receive external frequency signals. So it can transmit and receive. Okay, in layman's terms.
Yeah.
They're slang terming this laser radio waves.
So will the acronym be LRW? Acronyms.
It'd be clever. Yeah. As you are probably well aware, a Wi-Fi network makes use of radio waves to transmit information quickly across a network. And if you weren't aware of that, you haven't listened to our previous podcast.
And you need to pull your head out of your dial-up modem.
However, with lasers, that speed is drastically increased, and it has researchers excited. Yep. I mean, again, this is kind of how fiber works. Is it uses light transmission technology to because that's faster. Like, so light is faster than sound. Last time I checked.
Yep.
Light travels faster than sound, I should say. Yeah. Somebody's gonna be.
It's so fast,
like,
I can't
emailing
even
me
tell.
going, "You said technically."
Yeah.
So there you go. Possibly in the next decade.
Gosh, man.
We could see some. We might see the wireless speeds surpass those of wired.
I am really, really excited to be in this period in time in the world with the technology advancements and the innovation that is going on in those areas. Because what we are talking about today, in 5 years, 10 years, will be normal hat to your grandchildren or your children. But to us, we're just going to be going, wow. I mean, this technology, the stuff that's going on today is incredible, man.
It's kind of, the transition from horse-drawn carriages to automobiles or, air conditioning, I guess would be a pretty big one. Television.
Yeah.
Then of course, personal computing, and then the internet, and you might even throw in like portable music devices like the iPod, and it's who knows what's next.
Who knows, man? I mean, it's incredible.
And the self-driving cars thing was always kind of a joke, I think, in the movies. Like, I think everybody sort of thought, yeah, but we'll never really get that. I mean, that's pretty far out there in terms of sort of futuristic tech.
I was
right?
a Jetsons fan, man, so let's just wait and see. I mean, I've seen some of those prototypes out there for the flying cars. They're out there.
Right.
So we'll see what happens, man.
Yeah. All right. So you had something, right?
Yeah, a couple of things, but I kind of don't know which way to go with it because I'm the one because you kind of
Oh, did I step on something?
You kind of threatened me with harm, man. If I was gonna
well, I mean, does this reveal any plot details in terms of the Avengers Endgame?
It's about a beverage, I'll put it that way, that's spotted in the movie.
All right. Well, I think that's something that I'll go, okay, now I'll watch for it.
Yeah,
when
okay.
you see it. You're probably safe there.
Okay. All right. So here it is. All right. Everybody that's listening to this podcast or knows me personally knows that I am a huge, huge fan of craft beers. Yep, I love it. I love the industry. I think it's great what they're doing as a community, helping each other out. And it shows because it ends up, becoming part of pop culture and in a movie. And so basically it says this came out recently while everyone is trying to spot spoilers in the new Avengers Endgame trailer. Georgia craft beer fans have eyed something downright awesome. So basically, it is a beer that you will spot. That is the name of the name of the beer is Creature Comforts.
Okay.
And they are out of Athens. It's that's interesting. So we reached out to the Georgia Brewery. It's Georgia Brewery. And they tell us that Marvel approached them to ask if they could use Athena in Endgame. Because two of the producers were a big fan. They said they tell us they were honored and said, absolutely. Yeah, why not, right? No brainer.
Right.
Yeah.
If you that's a huge free.
Tell me about it, man.
Promotional.
So,
yeah.
It says people are just big fans of Creature Comforts. It says, what is that? Oh, I didn't realize this. So we previously reported that the Russo brothers.
Russo.
Was it Russo?
I think it's
is it
Russo.
Russo?
I don't
Russo?
know. Well, we're about to get called out on this now.
You know, because the directors of both Infinity War and Endgame, along with other Marvel movies.
Oh yeah,
like Cap 2.
They did Captain America,
Yeah.
Winter Soldier.
Yep,
Yeah,
Winter Soldier. They're just huge fans of this beer.
one of my favorite movies in the whole 22
Captain America?
Winter Soldier. Yeah.
Okay. I haven't seen that one.
It's just it's good. It's a lot of it's set in Washington D.C.
My son and daughter-in-law saw the new Avengers. They did a midnight showing, and it was just fantastic. They said.
Well, it's 3 hours, but Captain America rides a Harley. I think it's a Sportster. In Winter Soldier.
Okay, all right. So anyway, the Russo brothers says that they thought it was fitting that Thor, the god of thunder, would pair up with this beer.
Yeah. It's not the first time we've seen him drinking beer in one of these movies.
So
I mean,
anyway,
yeah.
Athena is the name of the beer. And again, it's Creature Comforts. Isn't that what I call it? Yeah, Creature Comforts is the brewery.
Yeah, okay.
And they're out of Athens, Georgia. And something else I was reading in the article, I didn't realize that Atlanta has become sort of like the East L.A.
Oh yeah, filmed in Georgia. Look at all the TV, Walking Dead, all the made in Georgia with the little peach at the end of the credits. The end credits. Yeah. Well, you know why that is? They're giving them huge tax breaks to film.
Sure. There. I mean,
it's
always an incentive.
So much less expensive than it is to film in L.A. So yeah. The Wakanda from the Black Panther. Yeah. I'm gonna get this wrong. I think it's Cloudland Canyon State Park, or it's a Georgia State Park, and we have camped there.
Okay.
And I'm watching the movie, and I'm like, that looks familiar. Now, they CGI'd the heck out of it and all that. Sure. But yeah, they're shooting a lot of the, there are scenes, if you watch the credits at the end of Black Panther, and it will tell you the state park that they filmed in Georgia.
I'll check that out.
And it's and we've been there. We were there like right before they did it, and I was like, hey, that's yeah. And here, since we're talking about Marvel movies, and so I've got one sort of interesting connection to. My son actually caught this. We're going back and watching them all because I was trying to catch him up. And I've got most of them on, disc or 3D or whatever, and so we're just watching them. And the third Iron Man movie, Iron Man 3, is supposedly shot in Tennessee. I mean, the story takes place in Tennessee. It's in a fictitious town, but it's supposed to be like East Tennessee somewhere. Yeah. And there is a scene in that movie where they're having a beauty queen contest, and they have, like, I don't know, 8-10 pageant contestants, these women lined up in their swimsuits on the stage. Right. And I'm not gonna say on the podcast, but Jay will know where this is. But one of the beauty queens is she's from the town that I live in, and it says so on the it's weird. They picked a lot of little towns that if you've lived here, know. But people watching the movie, if they're not from here, they wouldn't even know they're real. Right. They are.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. We should have. Let's throw a couple of weird names for towns out of Tennessee.
Okay.
What's like War Trace is one.
Hohenwald. Bucksnort.
That's my favorite. Isn't that where they have the RC and Moon Pie Festival?
I think so. Bell Buckle.
No, it's Bell Buckle, I think it is. Not Bucksnort.
Yeah. I think you're right. Now, Hohenwald actually has a huge historical... if you like controversy and mystery, murder mysteries and all that. You know this. You know where I'm going with this.
Mentioned, in the past with somebody telling me about it. I never looked into it or anything, but yeah, I think I know where you're going with this. Yes.
Okay, so if I were to say the names Lewis and Clark,
absolutely.
Louisiana Purchase,
Yep.
right? What basically everything west of the Mississippi. That was most of that happened at the time under President Jefferson. Again, like I hated history as a teenager, but so Meriwether Lewis died near Hohenwald, and this is one of the most fascinating conspiracy murder stories that for all time. He was President Jefferson's confidant. He was basically his right-hand man. They sent encrypted messages to each other. There was this weird stuff going on where Jefferson apparently had or thought he had some espionage going on, and so they had to encrypt their communication. I mean, this was like 1800s, man. I mean, and so as the story goes, Meriwether Lewis, who was one half of the Lewis and Clark expedition, this was after that expedition, committed suicide and died. And there's a big monument there to him, and you can see the log cabin still there where he lived. Well, here's the fascinating part of this is he had a flintlock pistol, and that's supposedly what he did it with, and he shot himself in the chest, but he shot himself twice. And they literally went through, like, I've seen like ballistics recreations of this, and they've gotten the actual flintlocks out, and they're like, now look, this thing takes like a minute and a half to reload. And that's without having a massive hole in your chest, right, while you're trying to do it. And so it basically the case they're making is it's virtually impossible for him to have done that on his own.
Right.
Okay. And then the court hearings were held in a town called Franklin, and the only way for them to get the court hearings, there was documentation that was provided, and it was provided on horseback. And it was actually provided before it would have been physically possible for them to get there, like if you timed it. And they're going, well, they already had this information ready, and it was planned. And I mean, it just gets like, the more you read about it, the more like just off the whole thing is.
Is there a book on this?
Oh, there's probably hundreds of books on it.
Why don't we put a link on the podcast?
I'll find a good one. Yeah.
That sounds interesting to me.
That's a good idea.
Maybe I'll purchase that.
Yeah. Oh, it's fascinating. Like I just,
I like I said, I've heard little tidbits of the story and not really got into like deep conversations with people that knew a lot about it. It was just kind of one of those, hey, did you know about this? Did you ever hear about this? And kind of like folklore kind of stuff,
So the prevailing theory is that he had some sort of information that was about to make it back to President Jefferson, and they had to stop it.
Oh wow.
That's the prevailing. Now, what that information is or was, we will probably never know. But yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah, so I got to check that out. That's good, man.
Yeah. All right. We'll so mentioned on the podcast. You got go to partscountergurus.com. Look at the tab at the top. It says mentioned on the podcast. And for this one, we'll put this is we're going to call this. I think we're just going to call this current events, right?
Yeah, just
our podcast topic. So it'll be under the current events.
Right. Yeah, we
podcast.
just thought that we would, talk about a few things that we thought were relevant today, and we've got a lot of time to work on a few other things, and we got a lot of exciting things coming up. So we just kind of felt we didn't want to. We tend to have news and then this, and today we're just going to have.
We get pretty excited about the news. I think we both just felt like we could.
So we got time for more, right?
I got you got one?
Yeah, I do, and it's just
let's do you do one, I do one. We got time for one each.
That sounds great. So, we've all heard about the new 2020 mid-engine Corvette coming down the pike, right?
I've heard rumors. I've yet to. Has it been officially confirmed?
They're like the world's worst at keeping secrets, apparently, because that's all you're seeing all over the news.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
I think it's coming to fruition. But where I'm going with this is I don't really know if this is a death nail for GM or not on this. I don't know how most of the Corvette enthusiasts feel about a mid-engine version of this thing. By some of the things that I've read, it sounds like it's going to be pretty exciting, but I'm not a vet owner or, like I said, or an enthusiast. So what I plan on doing is talking to people that I know that actually own vets and get their take on that. But
that's an interesting, well, the museum is like an hour from me.
It's awesome.
That'd be might be worth just looking those guys
very
up.
Very true.
Yeah.
But the reason I want to bring that up too is because there was, and I didn't know this. And I should have. But did you know that Ford nearly produced a mid-engine Mustang?
Well, isn't the now I'm going to show my lack of knowledge on this, but the most recent GT, which came out in 16 or 17, it was the 6-cylinder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The one I'm talking about, the Ford GT. It's a mid-engine, right?
I believe it is.
Isn't it?
But
so they've got the experience to do that.
Yes,
do they not?
do. And this was a Mustang Mach 2 concept. That was a mid-engine GT that was on display at the 1967 Chicago Auto Show. It goes back that far. They killed the project on it though, and it says it kind of ties in together. They're talking about this, but it says the up-and-coming mid-engine Chevrolet Corvette is arguably the industry's worst-kept secret, but GM is far from the first American manufacturer to think about doing such a thing. That's it. So,
okay. Now, the leading reason why you would do a mid-engine vehicle is performance and handling, right? It balances the car.
That is absolutely
basic?
correct.
Okay.
Yes.
It's a service nightmare trying to get at all that stuff when it's literally where you sit and tricky.
Just so mid-engine versus rear engine, it's the association of where the engine's at, and it has to do with the gravity, the weight of the vehicle. Exactly.
Yeah, CG.
And some of them can be very, very problematic because you're dealing with a very, very small amount of area to work with. And I think that, not that it was a cool little concept when they came out with it, and they sold quite a few. Pontiac came out with the Fiero, which was it just caught on fire.
Oh yeah.
But I think the most notorious.
Are you trying to, put that pun in there, or Fiero is what is Fiero in Spanish?
I think En Fuego is
fire. Is that fire?
Is on fire. So
okay.
I don't know. I think it's
all right. Now you keep going. I got to look this up now. Okay.
So you have that, but I think the most notorious rear engine car was the Corvair, Chevrolet Corvair.
Yep.
And those were cool cars, man. I saw one the other day, still running. Guy says it runs great, and there's a lot of niche shops out there that sell the product for those things, and of course, was it the most famous rear engine car? And not only that, it's air cooled. So was the but it was the VW Beetle, guys.
Yeah. And even the van, but
even the van.
Fiero means wild, by the way.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it was wild, especially when it was on fire.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it just, I don't know. I found it kind of interesting that that's the direction that GM was going with this thing. I kind of almost would have rather them come out with an electric version of it or something.
Yeah.
But whatever.
It does sort of make you wonder where their vision is. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Again, fun times to sort of be alive, to be sort of observing.
But again, it is a Corvette, and GM has their loyal Corvette.
Sure, recently
family.
Divorced. Middle-aged men.
Right. Well, I actually know someone who buys one every 2 years.
Yeah.
And flies in and picks it up from the plant up there.
How many times has he been married?
That's a good question. I don't know. That I don't know. I didn't get that deep with him.
I think there's a correlation here. I
I was really excited to know about the fact that he was doing this every 2 years to go.
Oh,
get his,
I've seen it happen.
They
Like they put it in the museum, and it's got a placard on it, and it's roped off, and it says this car is waiting for John Smith or whatever.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it's pretty neat. He's shown me pictures of the past. He actually invited me up the last trip when he was going in there, but I couldn't make it. I had plans, so which I'm really kind of disappointed because that would have been I'll never buy a Corvette and go through that process of picking it up at the plant, but I think that it's exciting for somebody who's a big fan of it.
We should look into that. That'd be good. Good little.
It's
fun to document. Yeah,
there. Sure it would. Yeah. So.
All right, so I've got. Let's close with this one. Okay. So we talked about the black hole a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
The recent discovery, the first time we've had visual representation of a black hole, courtesy of some very high powered telescopes, right?
Did they finally name that the Chris Cornholio?
I don't know. So no, actually I've got the name right here. So a stunning new image reveals two jets of high-energy material being spewed at nearly light speed from the first ever photographed black hole. Okay? The supermassive black hole, M87, M like Mary 87, that's its official designation.
I think I lit fuses on those when I was a kid or something.
Dubbed,
M87.
Yeah, right. Yeah, those are M80s. Dubbed Powehi?
Okay.
Powehi.
That sounds,
lives 55 million light years away from Earth in a galaxy called Messier 87. It's Messier, Messier 87.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
The new image of M87 was released by NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Supermassive black holes gobble up everything around them, but some particles don't fall into the black hole, and instead, for reasons still unknown to scientists, are propelled out the hole at a high speed in opposite directions. Okay? When the particles in these high-speed jets interact with gas in the vast empty space around a black hole, the particles slow down and create shock waves. Those shock waves give off radiation that our devices can detect. And then there's a photo here. This photo of M87 shows these shock waves created by the jets flying out of Powehi's grasp.
Yeah.
One aiming almost straight from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. So this is coming from NASA. Well, we usually help people figure out difficult problems here on the podcast. This is going to be no exception, right? So I think you might even know where I'm going with this already. So I don't really think it's that big of a mystery here that what's going on.
I'm listening.
Let's just deal with the facts here and piece this together. So we've got a black hole just gobbling up mass, right, and matter. And gas is a byproduct of the digestive process, is it not? For most things. So, it just appears to me that we've got a giant farting black hole.
Right.
Here. And somebody caught it on camera.
Right.
I really don't think it's much more than that, guys. We don't need to overthink this.
Can you can we just send a rocket full of tons up there or something, or
they do come in a tube
or whatever, Yeah. That's good, man. That's a first. Well, it was the first black hole ever caught, actually documented with, and they presented it to it. Well, and what I'm saying that is like actual visually documented.
Look, just like everything else in life,
speculated what
once
it would look like, but
once you make a discovery or there's an invention, it doesn't take too long before a fart joke follows. It's sort of the way life works, right? All right, man. Shall I recap our? Let me recap where to find us. So if you're watching the podcast on YouTube,
do that.
Thank you. Please subscribe. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. That will help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. If you are not watching the podcast and you're listening to it, thank you for that. Also, you can subscribe, and we encourage you to do so on YouTube, because for previously mentioned reasons that will help us out. You can go to our website at partscounterguru.com or partscountergurus with an S.com. They both go to the same place. We've got all kinds of content there, links to videos, articles. Most of it's automotive industry related. You can follow us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/partscountergurus. Here, there's the link right there. Instagram, the Parts Counter Gurus. What? Oh, there's still time for me to mess this up, man. See, here it's coming off the rails right now. Where was I? Patreon, if you're so inclined to be a sponsor, I'll just throw the link right over there, and you can, take it from there. What else, Jay?
That's it, man. I mean, you've covered it all. What a great job, man. That's awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. I wanted to make a mention today, though, that we are working on some Parts Counter Guru apparel, and I'll reveal a hat here soon, and we're probably gonna put a link up there to maybe purchase one of those. So we'll see what happens with that. Think we can make that happen, Keith?
Okay. Yep, we can make that happen.
Man. Perfect. So cool. All right. Take us out of here, Bal.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Until next time, that is Jay over there. I am Keith. If at first you don't succeed, erase all evidence and try again. See you next time.
Awesome. I got something for you to boost, buddy.